Hello and welcome back. We're back on the Barracuda today. It's setup day. We're gonna do the setup on it. In the last couple of videos, 2 videos ago, we blacked out all the apparatus on the pick guard. And then last video, we antiqued the hardware by brushing it off with sandpaper and giving it that brushed coppery type look. Now we've got that all back together. We're gonna have to do the setup, which entails string height, pickup height, and then intonation. So we're first off going to check the string height, of course, at the 12th in millimeters. It's about 175, pretty much right across the board. So 175 is good. We're going to go with that. When we took all the bridge off, all the saddles, we kept them in order, so they should be perfect, and they are. So what we're going to do is set up the pickups. Now what you want for the pickups for setup on a basic Stratocaster is you want 2.4 millimeters at the large E and about 1.6 at the small E. Now when it comes down to the bridge, you want about a 3 millimeter at the large and 1.6 at the small. Why? I don't know. That's what the world says to do. So we're going to check that out. When you check the height of your pickups, you push down on the last fret and measure from the top of the pickup let's switch it over to the actual side. Okay, and we are about 3 millimeters. I'm good with that. Now the middle one though, we want it down to what? About 2.4. That is a little bit low on both accounts. So what we do is we get our Phillips screwdriver and we get the actual sized Phillips screwdriver, and then we switch to our headache glasses. And where were we at here? We were at about 3. Yes, so we're going to bring that up just a little bit. And in bringing up, we want to loosen. No, we want to tighten to bring up. I'm just eyeballing it this way first off. Want it a little bit more up than that. And then back to measurement. We're about 3 something. I wouldn't mind having that a little bit higher. Got to be careful with that one because, yeah, this one is stripped. Well, it's not stripped, it's just popping down. So what we're going to have to do is go back in and rework that one. That's going to suck, but it's going to just be a click for you because I'm not going to make you wait while I take it all apart. But before we do that, let's get the other ones set up first. So flipping over and checking up here, pushing down These ones are all fairly low as well. So we're going to tighten them. That one's about as tight as it's going to go. That's fine. They weren't very low, just a little low. This one would be really cool. This end picked up the other end. We're good. We're too good. Yeah, we're good. We're good. So, time to take it apart, and it's going to come apart just like told you. So, once again, always remember, take out all the pick guard screws before you try prying on that. Yeah. Okay, so this bottom screw on this side, we are going to remove the screw completely and see just what it's going to take for us to get that. Now we're going to have to loosen off this one a fair bit too, because we don't want to make too much of a bend in it. And what we did last time was went at it with a little plumber's tape, hoping that that would do the trick. That would really be cool if that worked. Now these have 2 leads in each pickup, and the only other replacement pickups I have are only 1 lead. Well, they are 2 lead, but it's 1 conductor with the braided other conductor buried inside, which is going to be a little bit of a trick. So I say we just tape the pig up again and see if we can make it work this time. And for a secondary trick, I'm going to put a little bit of white glue in that hole and let it congeal a little bit. See if maybe that will help. Can't hurt at this point. So now I've readjusted, put that back in, taped up the screw, put a little white glue in the hole, put it to its highest setting because it wasn't snapping at that point. So we're this way, when we adjust it, we just have to go down a bit. We're not putting more pressure on it, we're taking pressure off. That's a good thing, but the fretboard's completely exposed here. Not paid promotion. Let's oil the fretboard. As I say, this guitar is going up on Facebook, so we're going to make sure that it's in top form, which is why I'm doing all this. And we will just get the fretboard oiled. Now the fretboard was done not all that long ago, so it's not going to need a major doing. We're just going to make sure that we get a nice good full 100% coverage and just rub it in. This particular guitar, I don't think it had a whole lot of usage. Well, because when I got it, string action at the 12th was like 3.5 millimeters. So you just couldn't play it and make it sound right. every time you played it, it went sharp, so your chords sounded like crap, which is why I think it didn't get all that much usage. But so the fretboard isn't really dirty at all, but it was also rather dry because it was never really taken care of. It was a fairly inexpensive guitar, so there wasn't a lot spent on it. And so while the fretboard seeps in, let's start putting our pickguard screws back in by hand so you don't cross thread them or anything like that. Always get them started by hand. And then we're going to check out, because a few of these had were a little bit stripped. They were in and tight. They weren't like loose falling out, but they kept spinning. So we are going to eliminate that problem today. And that is by using our toothpick trick, which is when you find the screw that just keeps spinning, you take it out, take a little piece of toothpick, put it down in the hole, takes up the extra room, and then you can reinstall the screw and voila, it's fixed. So first off, we have to put all the screws in and sink them first, then adjust the pickguard, make sure that it's in the right spot, and then we're going to start tightening them. But then at that point, that's where we're going to find out which ones are stripped, and we'll one at a time go through and eliminate the problem. So first we just sink the screws to the point where they're flush. Don't want to put any extra pressure on them yet. When we go to tighten them, we're going to be tightening them in a crisscross Patterson. But once we get to that point, that's when we'll be able to tell which ones are pretty much stripped. If we get them now, they'll be okay for the next person who owns this guitar. Everything is solid, crisscross. That one's good. This one needs fixing. That one's good. That one's good. That one needs fixing. That one could use a fixing. That one could use a fixing. That one's good. That one could use fixing. And that one's good. So pretty much half of them need to come out and have a fix done. So now we're going to start. That one's good. That one's good. This one. So we remove the screw. Get a little piece of toothpick. Put it down the hole. Reinsert the screw. And you can feel how tight it is already. Now don't over wrench it. This one needs it. Now, I'll get it. Now this is one of the thicker parts of the toothpick, so we'll see if this is going to work or whether we're going to have to cut it in two. No, it works really good. Good. This one needs it. So I just put the end down on the board, and that kept it from shooting across the room. Oopsie. Late October, boys are out for their final ride on their motorcycles. Okay, next, that one's good. This one keeps spinning. So now we fixed 3 and this is number 4. And watch that it doesn't go cockeyed. Try and get it go straight down through the piece of toothpick. Oh, didn't go far. Down the hole, reinstall the screw. Trying to make sure you keep it as straight up and down as possible when it goes in. And that's how you fix stripped screws. Now it would be different if this was on a part of the guitar that was more structural. But, oh yeah, what happened to it, the screwdriver? Now the other thing that we noticed was when I was doing the shim in the back, that it had a different height compared to the last time. And I think that's because these screws have to be a little loose because of the tremola part before it will jam solid in the back. Because if you tighten them right down, the plate won't sit flat against the body. So I'm leaving about a little bit of a gap there. And we're going to go to the back and see if we can jam more wood in there to make this sit more flat. And then we'll probably be replacing one of these screws with some toothpick 2. And while we're back here, some of these screws had the same issue. So we may as well toothpick them too. But first thing we gotta do is remove this here cover and see how the tremola is sitting. Because I kind of remember that from before when, as I said, it took more wood to jam the tremola beforehand and the plate stayed flat on the bottom. see. Okay. Drink. Lemonade. Now, let's first off, before we get jamming too much, we be jamming. Let's take the wood out if we can. Gone forever, Aaron Hernandez. Okay, now we want this to sit flat on the base. And it's a little bit high there. So we're going to tighten these screws just a little bit. Or should we? Yeah, we're going to tighten them just a bit until they make contact with the plate. And then we will check the plate to make sure that it is level with the body of the guitar, which it is. Now we jam the wood. We be jamming. And yes, we need more wood. Luckily, I kept some here from yesterday. Now we need two things to try and pinch it and bring it out. And so there we have now two pieces of wood jammed in. So at this point, we reinstall the guard and check which screws are stripped. Starting them all by hand, same thing, then we sync them, and then as we try to tighten them, that is when we decide which ones have to come out and get the toothpick trick. So now we've sunk them all. And now we're going to go around in a crisscross pattern. That one's okay. This one needs removal. That one's okay. That one's okay. That one's okay. That one's okay. So there's just this one. So one little piece of toothpick down in the hole, reinstall the screw gently. And there we have it. Back is all done. Flip her over, and let's now check these screws that mount the plate. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. That one's questionable. That one's good. So this is the questionable one. We're just going to throw a little bit in it just to be safe. And now that we've got more wood jammed in the back, this plate is sitting more flat on the faceboard. See, the screws here go down a little farther than usual because it brings it up and has the whammy effect. This one, being a longer screw, will never be seen again. Luckily there was 2 halves to that, so we'll just use this half. Yeah, I'll get that when I move out. And this one I'm going to need a little more leverage on because it's a longer screw. And after this gets tightened down, we can restring it again. Yes, I've unstrung and restrung this guitar 2 or 3 times over the last couple days. Pulled them right off the other day with all the curly cues at the end go down through the guitar. A little trick that I learned to fix that. I got an old string because of course you're trying to put a big squirrely skew up through the back of the guitar and it's not going to work. So what I did was I took a curly cue off the end of a different one, cut about 6 inches from the spool straight edge, put it up through, put a loop in it, took the loop off the end of this string, hooked it on, fed it back through. So I was able to put those curly cued ends back through the body. It wasn't easy, but hey, it worked. So I'll show you sometime for real when we're doing that. Did I miss a spot on the bottom of that? Gonna get just a little more on this rag, because right on the very bottom of the neck, yeah, there we go. Gonna have to go and clean it off the pick guard next because oil, blah blah blah. But there we go. Restring time. Wish me luck. So now we've got the strings back on it somehow. Before we bring it up to tune, we're going to get set up to do the intonation. And we're not going to do the intonation first. We have to just get set up. Most Stratocasters have a scale of 25 1/2 inches. And that 25 1/2 inches is from this side of the nut to where the string makes contact with the saddle. So we're a little close there. We are going to want to get our Phillips screwdriver. Nothing's ever right here when you need it, is it? So we have the first saddle set to 25 1/2 inches to where the string makes contact with the saddle. So now we're just going to loosen off all the strings and make sure all of them are at that spot, and then we will be able to start intonation from there. Away we go. So now every string is exactly 25 1/2 inches from nut to the contact point on the saddle. Now we're going to bring it into tune. Then we'll double check the height, string height of each to make sure that they are where they're supposed to be. And at that point we can start on intonation. Okay, so now we're tuned up again. Now we're going to check the action at the 12th. Check it first, and then we're going to go to the pickups. We're at about 2. 2, 2, 2, 175, 175, 175. So that is definitely in the acceptable range. We're going to leave it there. We might tweak it down later, but now let's get to millimeters on the, we're at about 2.5 there. They want 3 and a bit. We want that one to come up. They were saying 2.4 at this end. So that's actually a little high. That one's pretty much right on. So we will lower this one. We lower that by loosening just a touch. We're good there. Now at the other end, let's double check this bottom one. I don't want to adjust it. It's pretty much 2.5 and they say 3.4, 2.5, 3.4. That's almost 1/2 millimeter. Don't mess with it. It's staying where it is. Let's leave it where it is until it settles. Then on this side, they're talking 1 point, what was it? 1.6 all the way across. That's dang near touching. That's good. That's good. So the top can come down a bit, which is loosening. Pickups are set, at least where we're going to start with them. Now for intonations, and that is going to be done in the upright position. Intonation is basically, long story short, whenever you get it in tune, you get a D, well, E for most people. I have mine tuned down to D. What we want is for it to be a D when we click on the 12th, and that is going 2 bars sharp. So if it goes sharp, what you want to do is pull back. If it's sharp, go towards the bridge. If it's flat, go towards the head. So it's sharp, so what we want to do is lengthen this string. And in order to do that, because we are doing that, we're going to want to take all pressure off. Now, is this a large or a small Phillips? small. And in order to get it to come towards us, we tighten. I'm going to bring it a long ways because it was way, way sharp. Now, get it back into tune. Bend it a couple times to make sure. At the 12th, it's 1 bar sharp. So we are in the neighborhood. Twist this down, take all the pressure off, tighten this a little bit more. Bring it up to tune. Bend it. Bend it again. Wiggle it. Make sure it stays in the note you want. Down at the 12th. It goes sharp at first because it is sharp. Little flat, little sharp, bend and reef. Get it to a D or E, whatever. Get it to your note. Okay. Still a little bit sharp. What I found on this guitar was that I had to pretty much max out the saddle in order to get this to intonate. Still a little sharp. I'll be back. And so I saved you a lot of frustrating times, so it's now intonated. So just remember, you want what you pluck when it's open to be the same as when you pluck at the 12th fret. If the 12th fret goes sharp, move the saddle back towards the bridge. If it goes flat, move the saddle up towards the head. The head is flat, that's where you want to go. If it's flat to the head, flat head, sharp bridge. That's it. So, thanks for watching once again. Please share, like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Tell me what I did right, wrong. I know I do things wrong. I'm not a luthier, just an old guy with too much time on my hands. So with that, thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Bye now.